Dawn, if you want to go ahead and start the meeting, we're missing Jacob and Lisa, but they may filter in later, but we can probably go ahead and get started. You're on mute.
Thank you. I would like to call this meeting. I'm forgetting if we need to have a motion for that or not, Amy. I believe we can call. And then we need to approve the minutes from 8/9/2022. So I would like to know if there needs to be any changes of that. If not, it would be approved as displayed in 3, 2, 1. So again, that we would approve the former minutes of 8/9/2022 as approved as displayed. Yes, I said that correctly.
Yes, and it just to clarify for the recording, we do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. Thank you very
Yes.
much for that. And does that have to be on video, or can it be on or can it be audio only with quorums and Zoom meetings and advisory councils? Do they have to be on video or to meet quorum, or can they be on audio vocal?
I think if they were calling in, I think that would be fine.
Okay.
But I think everybody, we only need 4. So we have.
I definitely see 4 faces, so 3 faces at least, including mine. So that would be 4 right there, but I need to understand.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I haven't seen Shasta yet, but I do see she's joined us. So
Okay, cool.
we only need 4. So I see 4.
We're good. I just want to make sure that we're good on quorum there.
Yeah, that's a great question.
So we displayed a meeting agenda. Are there any questions on the meeting agenda that may or may not need to be shared? Sasha, you have a hand up. Is that a question on the agenda, or is that just a hello, hi, I'm here? Sasha comes more. So hi. Okay, thank you. So again, we set up an agenda for this meeting for today, 10/24/2022. Is there any questions or need to be changed in the agenda that's been displayed to you guys as council members? I hear no complaints. I think they've been approved as displayed, and we will continue on to this meeting and how we are doing what we're doing. So first updates that I really wanted to dive into as we're getting into December and November and all that stuff was an update from Clackamas County. Cam, do you have any the Clackamas County updates that you wanted to give the council or Brooke or whatnot on that, in a way that we can learn more about what's happening and what the updates in the last couple of months of the DD Department of Developmental Disabilities?
So I think that probably one of the biggest pieces of news is the departure of Lily Kennedy as the director for the Office of Developmental Disability Services on November 10th, I believe. And so that will be a significant change. The interim deputy director will be former deputy director Anna Lansky, and then Acacia McGuire Anderson has accepted the interim deputy director position. So those are some changes at ODDS. How they will impact us remains to be seen, but they're long-term people that we were very familiar with and have worked with over the years. So I anticipate our working relationships to continue to be positive. So that's what I know on that. And so let's see. Updates within the program. We have do we have our audit on here? Nope. So we will be going through our state audit beginning, well, we're doing pieces of it now. They'll be on site tomorrow to do an audit of our personnel files. And then in November, the week of November 14th, they will be on site at our program. And we'll be doing an audit of all of our, of our program files, which is approximately 57 files that they'll be looking at. And part of that process, while actually looking at documentation, part of that process, in addition, is satisfaction surveys. So they'll be actually asking to meet with individuals that are part of the audit and the files being audited for feedback on our services. So the services that they're receiving and that they're getting from Clackamas County. So that is taking up a good bit of our time and attention over the next few weeks. So as we prepare to have them do that. So we are always positive about audits, and we know that if there's things that need to be fixed, that we need to know about them. So we will be looking forward to getting through that process and seeing how we can improve and grow. We don't really have anything budget related or updates yet. There's nothing on our budget quite yet. So is there anything specific anyone was hoping to hear about or wanted to know more about that I might be able to offer insight to?
So my hope in this conversation with the council is to not put a dream list, but try to put a perspective on these audits and the budgetary concerns that you may have ran into in your experiences. I myself would like to know, as a council member, when ODDS changes its hands, would that affect the budget at hand in ways that the governor's race is coming up soon? Many things that the ODDS has done in a way of the budget and reporting and different other aspects has been pushed a little bit forward because of Lilia's departure and because of the new governor's race till probably February, March, April. How can we as council members be able to understand how Clackamas County services are being affected with the audit and with this budget to be better prepared and give you guys a better perspective in a way of how we communicate with your department and what our concerns are as council members?
So as far as our audit goes, what I can say is that the state comes in and we've and they do our file audit, and that process, I mean, we know, I think we anticipate after COVID and after 3 years almost of very persistent change, things have changed minute by minute, hour by hour, sometimes depending on what was occurring during from beginning of 2020 through now, that we probably will identify gaps, things there will be issues that we will have to address, but not unexpectedly. So I think that we anticipate that through all of this, there will be things that a document may not have gotten signed timely or something like that. So we know that that we will not have probably as stellar of a review as we have had in our past. I think we've done pretty remarkably well in our past audits. At least in the time that I've been here, I felt that the team has really, with the amount of work that's being done really well. And so we do recognize that I think everybody probably has had challenges keeping up during COVID. So that's what we can expect. That's kind of what we do expect, is that we will see some deficiencies in things, just due to all of the change that occurred and trying to keep up with the different expectations that were being brought forward to us throughout COVID of how we were supposed to manage the work. And so that is kind of what we can expect when we do get it. We bring the results to you, and you'll be able to see. It'll be a transparent process. We'll be able to see what we've done well and what we have not done well, and then where we need to plan and make a plan of improvement.
What do you need from the council right now? Sorry, guys, I'm making this. You guys are absolutely, please talk on this, but what do you need from the council right now while you guys are preparing for this audit? Is it just that we prepare that there's an audit coming out tomorrow/November and then make an opinion later on? Well, how can we further this conversation to make Clackamas DD department more communication with the council and with the public? I
don't think there's anything more that's needed. And if there's any insight that others have or would like to offer, that's great of how, because total transparency, we've not really had a council to connect with about this in depth before. And so I would be open to that. I think we've really been kind of on our own when it's come to the audits, and they come in, they do their reviews. I'm sure many of you have been audited before. they come in, they do their review, they look at what they look at, and then they come back and say, here's what we found. And then it's up to us to then develop a plan for improvement.
Okay.
And so at that point, maybe that we would bring it back and say, okay, here's what's happened, and maybe some input on a plan of improvement or sharing ideas on thoughts on that.
All right.
At that point. But I think for right now, it was more of sharing that it's happening. We are being audited. We get audited every 2 years, so it's a relatively familiar process. So it isn't unexpected or unplanned or unknown. We know it's coming. Doesn't mean we're always still really fully prepared, but we know it's coming. And we also knew that, we've known it's been coming this year, and we know that that there's just things that, that we will need to address.
I want to include other people in this conversation, definitely people who have maybe have older kids or kids at least, 10 years or older or whatnot that's been through the process. I am new to this in a way of many type of services and many type of administrations. I would love to hear Clackamas County's perspective on this change that's going to be happening with Lilia and how it affects other leadership styles and other people. So people who's on this call on a council, I would love to hear when things have changed, what is it that we can look forward to, and what things that we might need to consider for this change, and how to help myself and others as an advocate to communicate with department needs versus, say, Clackamas County needs. Did you guys ever experience this type of turnover before when we had like a governor's race? And how did you guys experience it in a way of what's happening in today's realities with ODDS leadership? Would anyone here on this call have that experience? And how they maybe navigate it with Clackamas County? I'm looking at Sarah Swazak. I don't want to put people on the spot, but I know some kids are too young in a way of DD services, people on this call. But Sarah, I would love your perspective on that in a way that you've seen Clackamas County, you've seen other ODDS leadership, go through. What was your experiences, if you may, in ways of how things may or may not have changed, or how betterment was the communication with Clackamas County, or things that might need to be looked at?
I have to tell you, John, I didn't have a lot of interaction with higher up leadership. It was more Marissa's case managers, and we had changes through the years. And I have to say, the great news is everyone was really good, really good. So, and one of the changes that I was a little bit nervous about was going out of the county, going to a brokerage. But I made the decision only, and it was absolutely nothing that the county didn't do for us or offer us or support us in or anything. I just thought, well, she's 18, it might be time to try something different. Knowing that depending on where she lives later on in life, we might be back under county case management. So I can't really offer much perspective. I'm sorry about that in terms of leadership changes, just case manager changes, and how, again, I was really pleased with, I've been really pleased with all the people that have supported her through the years.
Absolutely understand where you're coming from in case management versus the hierarchy structures of ODDS and what, county provides. So that tells me in perspective as an advocate where the levels are at the parent natural support level to where the communication goes to management and styles to the department at hand. So I appreciate that perspective. Is there anyone else who maybe has maybe seen a change at ODDS the last 10 years before Lilia that may have a perspective for Clackamas County in a way that they may want to express that as a council? Okay, I appreciate it. I'm sorry that it may or may not have been relevant, but I'm hoping that we see that this next transition with Anna to the next governor's race as a council.
John, do you see Mimi's hand raised?
Oh, I did not see Mimi. Mimi, I'm so sorry about that. Thank you very much, Kim.
Yeah.
A question?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so I don't know if is the volume okay? Okay, I just want to ask, I don't know if it's a question or a comment, but my comment is like, as I have been a provider for long years in Clackamas County for DD clients, my observation is sometimes there is a like kind of a bridge. What is a Clackamas County can provide a bridge between the providers and case workers or program managers, because in the past there was a department called crisis. So everybody has different kinds of case workers, and sometimes it could be we do the groundwork, and sometimes it feels like someone is out there to get us. Like if there is a mistake done, we expect the county as we work with them like as a team. So if there is anything like a program or event or anything sorts to connect the providers with the case workers to know them each other, and because sometimes when something happens, the old provider who has a long years experience who do a good job can be added to the maybe inexperienced new providers all together, like assumption. So my question is there anything program or something to bridge the gap between these two entities?
I guess, I don't know, I was gonna say Brooke and Amy, so I just want to make sure I understood the question too, around bridging the gap between communications and with providers and service coordinators, bridging that gap. Well, I am optimistic that we are actually going to be speaking about something that might be doing that soon, but yeah, I mean, I don't know that we have formally had that or built that into our system. Brooke, I look to you to see, no, I mean, I think we've probably maybe informally in some ways relied on licensing and some of that, and even then that's not probably been done very strongly. So I would say no, we probably don't have that effectively or formally in place.
Yeah, I would agree. Is it okay for me to talk about this then now?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
John, are you okay if we move on to ARPA a little bit? If we're ready to move on to ARPA?
We can talk about ARPA when ARPA comes in, Brooke, but I would like you to explain your department's gap on providers and other things that are currently. And then when we get to ARPA,
it kind of ties in, John. So that's, I think, maybe what she was looking at having a conversation.
I understand. Overruled my own end. I understand. Yes, Brooke, talk about ARPA and that question that Mimi had. That would hopefully help fill that gap.
Okay, so I think I may have mentioned to the DD Council that we did apply for an ARPA grant specific to providers and training and technical assistance and capacity building. We actually have a lot of providers coming into the county, residential providers, adult foster care providers, adult group home providers. And so we have kind of an influx all the time. So it's not that we need more, but what we have found is that we need providers to be ready to be providing service to people when they open their homes. Lots of folks are getting licensed, but they're not quite meeting our expectations. And so I wrote, we wrote a proposal to get ARPA funding to engage the provider community and sit down with folks and get some perspective as to what the gaps are in people learning to be providers and understanding their responsibilities before they actually get licensed and take people in, and what we can do as partners to the provider community to make sure that everybody has what they need. They know what we expect. We know what to expect from them. So this initiative would run for about 1.5 years. We would bring on some staff or move some staff over to actually run the initiative, put together a steering committee with providers. And I'm looking to you, Mimi, and anybody who wants to be involved to give feedback as to what we're missing and what we can provide so that people are better prepared to be good providers when they open their doors and start taking. We have a lot of really challenging people coming into residential care. So we need providers to be really prepared for that. So we are, yes, we're now going to be recruiting for some people to help us run that initiative. And like I said, it'll be about 1.5 years, and it will build a model. And it may include providing training materials in that are culturally and linguistically responsive to different communities, because we definitely have different communities providing care for our folks. So I see 3 hands. I'm not sure.
Sasha, I believe you were next, Sasha.
Thanks so much, John. I hope I understood your original question, which was about DD services in Clackamas County and kind of what could be improved. Is that where we're going with this?
The budgetary ideal and definitely ODDS leadership being changed and how Clackamas County will handle that type of change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so I've been with Clackamas DD services since my kids were young too, I think. So, I would say that the more I learn about the system, the more confused I am at how little I knew in the beginning. So I feel like a lot of issues come down to communication and transparency, and just kind of a lack of public facing, really easy to understand documents on, like what people really need to know when you're drowning in diapers and all the different doctor's appointments and everything, just really clear information. And then also, in the departure of Lilia Kennedy from ODDS, hoping that there's kind of a shift in like a willingness to hear from opposing views and criticism and various folks who may not have been part of the conversation before. And also just seeing that those lines of communication from the state down to the case manager, person-to-person level, just those lines of communication getting cleared up, because there's a lot of like games of telephone happening and it's really confusing for people on the ground. Thank you.
Sarah, I believe you're next. We have about maybe 5 to 8 minutes on this, and then we have to go to legislative updates to remind the council and the department.
Sure. I had a couple questions, probably Brooke for you. What you said there were a lot of new homes like being licensed and coming in. Is there a number on how many foster homes versus group homes are applying and being approved? was my first question. And then who are you planning on having come in to do the training? Like, do you have a ratio of, providers that have been around for a really long time, case management? What team are you looking to build? And then I just had a comment about it too, as a provider, which I can get to, because I don't want to give you all of the questions and too many at once. So
Are people okay with me answering those questions now? We're kind of in the middle of two different things, so I'm not sure.
Amy, can you remind me where we put the OPA funds? Did we put that in the fourth part of the hour? I mean, the second hour?
We're actually on it right now. So this is
All right.
still, yeah, until about 5 o'clock.
Yeah. All right, good.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brooke.
Okay, I'll answer really quickly. I'm not actually sure what the ratio of foster care to group home is. I know right now we have 219 homes, adult, foster, and group home together. So I'm not sure how many are foster and how many are group. We have, as you know, Sarah, we help with the licensing of foster homes. The state does all of the licensing of group homes. Those are opening, it's my understanding, at about one a week we're getting here in Clackamas County right now of group homes. So I know that the foster care team isn't able to keep up with that kind of rate. So it must be slower than that, if that's helpful.
I was just kind of curious, because it seems as though group homes seem to be kind of accelerating over foster homes. And I know there's some differences in there. So the other question, I know we're running out of time. So was, who were you looking to, how many people and who were you looking to kind of fill that training?
What I'm looking for is a group of about 6 people who can commit to several meetings over the next year and a half. And I'm going to recruit by asking all the foster providers who might be interested in it.
Okay.
So we haven't talked more about any sort of screening process or anything, or criteria or anything like that. Okay. I'll be happy if 6 people are interested.
And then the only input that I would have towards that, which kind of ties in a little bit, is I've been a foster provider for, I think over 20 years now. So it's been a long time. And for me, the biggest thing with licensing and the OARs and kind of our responsibilities, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of congruency, maybe from licensor to licensor, or maybe even year to year. And sometimes some of the OARs are open to interpretation of whoever the licensing body is at that time. And so it's really, really hard for providers to, you make the correction one year and it's this under the same OAR, and then the next year a new licensor comes out and they've interpreted it differently, and now all of a sudden that's not okay. And I think that is one of the larger frustrating pieces of being a provider and trying really hard to diligently follow the OARs, and then you're bouncing around from year to year and it changes when the OAR hasn't changed. So I think that would be a good piece I'd love to see changed, or at least get, congruency.
I hear you, absolutely. I bet Mimi does too. But.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Amy, did you have something to add on this conversation, or was it another?
Yes, I wanted to acknowledge part of what I think Mimi, did you have something to say? I wanted to acknowledge part of what I think you asked for, which was a space for the foster providers and group home providers and service coordinators to meet, because it sounds like there's providers that have been around a long time and have a lot of experience, and you guys get kind of grouped in with like newer providers, and you would like to be able to have better relationships and better working relationships, especially bringing your expertise to the table. Did I hear that correctly, that you wanted a space for that?
That one, and also with caseworkers, like sometimes it feels like, okay, it's you do your job, you follow the rules, and then they're like out there to bring out what's missing, like rather than being a team and then supporting us at least in a monthly or 2 months, giving us more information, feeling like team to provide services to our residents, more support, Yeah, that's what I'm
You
trying
want
to
you
say.
want to feel like you're more like you're better supported and like they're part of your team and they're looking out for you and that you guys have the same interest in mind, even though you
Yes.
do, but it doesn't feel like that always is what I'm
Sometimes.
understanding.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I just wanted to take some notes so I can talk to Brooke about that later. So thank you for clarifying.
So sounds to me outside of what was just spent. First of all, Mimi, thank you. And Sarah, who that made the comments, thank you for reminding me that this is more than just a service provider, a client versus just a person that, you know, have natural supports on this. So thank you for reminding me about that, about the council and the questions that were acquired for this conversation. That helped me a lot in a way of remembering. I would like to put a note on Amy, if we can put something on the sheets that of a agenda to maybe remind me. I don't know if that Mimi or Sarah, that's fine, but I would love a reminder of, you know, providers and the positions that we hold. We will talk about positions in a couple more minutes, but that would help me. I would think help the chair a lot in a way of reminding them that this is more just than advocates or just people with, you know, who take care of people with disabilities, because that was a good reminder for myself. Kim, we're a little bit over time, but I was wondering if there's any legislative stuff that you and your department may or may not have a hand into the budget, or other conversations that you've had with other stakeholders that may have to be told to the council, or at least to advocates like myself, that we should be aware of for January, February, and March. I know for me, I benefited a lot from other leaderships that have done speeches, slide decks and stuff like that. But is there anything that you could add on to that conversation with budget and what the conversation was as we were steering today, that might be able to help us maybe figure out later on a legislative side, or things, presentations that you've done so far?
Well, so what I can say, there's where we are doing some support, ODDS has a policy action package on the agenda to return the workload model, so the case management workload model to 100%. So that would be something that would be advocating for in the 2023 session. So what that means is we are funded off what's called a workload model that determines our funding, and we have been always paid less than that model and at parity. So we've been paid at percentages and percentages of percentages. It's been very complex and complicated to try to explain to anyone who doesn't like actually do that work, that fiscal work. And so they are looking to fund it at 100%. And then there's also a bill out there to have them look at some of the positions, so position descriptions and stuff that they haven't looked at, the positions classifications that the state uses in relationship to our funding model in 20 years. So there is a request out there to legislative concept to have that have positions reevaluated, or at least looked at again to see if the classifications are appropriate, are they current, those types of things. So that is also out there, and that may not necessarily impact us directly in immediately in funding, but if they find that our case managers, so developmental disability case managers, are not the same as a case manager for APD, which is not the same for a case manager doing behavioral health work, so that really doing that comparison to see, do we really fall within that position description and all the things encompassing a case manager. They've got owner assessors in there, and they've got all of these under these classifications. So asking them to take a look at that, which could ultimately impact us, hopefully positively in relationship to actually right sizing the work and then paying for that accordingly. So those are a couple of the things that are out there that would directly impact the Developmental Disabilities Program in Clackamas County, or as with across the state. And so those are the ones that I can speak to at the moment.
Absolutely. And I'll transition into the next part of our agenda in a way to the council. First of all, I've been seeing some great slide decks, Kim, on certain classifications in a ways of making a career-based entity rather than just a gig economy type of entity as an advocate of seeing that type of thing. So that kind of transition to it. As a council, I need to talk to you guys as individual members, and I need you guys to vote for it. We only have 4 meetings in a way of every couple of months or whatnot. And I've been asking for us to try to agree to a meeting for a 5th meeting when legislative drops its bill. So Kim and others can update us in a way of what was just expressed today, rather than just wait until long sessions in the middle of session. So my hope is to put a 5th meeting in here somewhere around February, March, or April, in a way that that Clackamas County can talk to us as a council. So as the bill drops, we will have a place to discuss and talk to each other and focus on those bills rather than just do our own type of ideal and give some direction. So I'm hoping, I would like to, as a council member, to put a motion for a 5th meeting for the DD council. And I would love for some support on that in a way that when we go into legislative session, we can have a further discussion and stuff and information that Kim just gave us in a way. Would there be a second motion for that for discussion? So we can try to have a 5th meeting while we're in legislative session. Lisa, Amy, how does that go officially without any vocals? It looks like Lisa has seconded that. Do I need to do anything else than that?
Looks like Lisa has something to say.
Okay, Lisa.
I second that.
Thank you. There's a second for discussion. Is there any discussion that needs to be made for this conversation with Clackamas County and legislative discussions during the legislative sessions? Gabby, Colleen, anyone that needs to discuss this idea, or everything okay on your end so far? As long as you guys feel included, that's the most important thing to me in this type of conversation. All right, I would also like someone to motion for a vote if possible, since I've already made my motion for discussions. Would there anybody to do first for a motion for a vote for an extra meeting in particular for the legislative session?
I motion for the vote.
Okay, and I have a motion. Do I have a second for that?
I'll second it.
All right, so how would you guys like to vote? Do we have reactions? And no, we don't. So we're gonna either have to stand up, raise our hand, or say aye on this. For myself, I'll do it the way that I'm gonna put a thumbs up or a clap or a emoji up there. And a no vote will be, say, a cry, a open mouth. Okay, so we have right now, Amy, are you keeping track on that? We might have to do it twice because it does just disappear because we don't have a yes or no option in the Zoom option. So
Go ahead and do it one more time, please.
one more time, please, because I also understand it starts. If we had a yes or no or abstain, you can also, if you want to abstain, you can put it into the chat. But I so far, thank you, Gabby. All right, so
It's like you have an overwhelming yes.
we have an overwhelming yes during legislative session in February, March, or April to have this type of conversation. Kim, I'm going to have you double confirm to me. There's a bill drop in January, but there's also a second bill drop, usually somewhere a little bit later on long session. Is it around February, March, or April in a way of catching that second drop? Or am I a little bit too much ahead and I should have said April, May? I apologize for not doing that, but you understand what I'm trying to communicate?
Yeah, I do. And I'm trying to think of when would be the most advantageous time.
I said February, March, and April
Yeah.
as we voted.
Right, because I think what we're gonna be finding is that lots of things may change just because bills drop, lots of things may change after the election, so, I think it would be best probably February or March.
Okay,
Because we might have additional information after the election as to, especially since what gets put forward now, if there's a different governor when it comes to all the recommended budgets and stuff, if our governor is not our governor after the election, there's the potential for everything to change.
okay.
And so we might have
We'll have
additional.
a February meeting,
Yeah.
in a way of some like the chair or someone else, making, that type of change. The one that we just wrote was just legislative only. Would
Mhm.
that, if we have 2 meetings in February, that would be a little
Oh,
bit,
yeah.
a little bit
No,
too
then
much.
if we already have a meeting is set in February, if that's the month that our meeting is set, then it probably would be good to do something in March.
I think
Our
I
meeting is in
would,
January.
is
Our
there,
meeting is in January.
it's
That's
in
what I thought.
January, thank you.
Yeah,
So
so-
you February and January were good. Thank you for that thing. Sarah, you have your hand up on that?
I did. I was just acknowledging that we do have a meeting in January. Would it be crazy to maybe push that one to February and then have another follow-up a little bit later, maybe April or May?
Does someone have a motion for that? Or a second of that to discuss? I hear you,
We'll have
Sarah.
We'll have a meeting in
This
January.
is an idea, since we already have it at the end of January, if we just postpone that one a few weeks to
Bill
discuss.
drop when again, Kim?
They can drop just about any time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they can be put forward just about any time, but
When do they start?
I think that makes what Sarah's saying makes sense and would be advantageous to, do something in February and then maybe look at another one in March, April.
Okay.
And because then we did have another one in.
I said February, March, and April on the vote, so we're still safe around that area.
Yeah.
All right, so we will have to have a motion to discuss and second that in a way of February rather than January. I'm not hearing any motion for that, so it's still staying at January on that.
I motion the change to February for the meeting.
All right, thank you, Sarah. I don't remember, Amy, I need your help on the way that we've discussed it already before a motion of a second. So do we need to motion to vote and call it, or do we need to have that discussion part still?
So are you wanting to vote to just have the meeting moved?
Sarah-
Because you guys,
Sarah,
Yeah.
the one that the supervisor said that she wanted it to February. I take that as a first. So I take Sarah Swalzak as a second to that. We've already had a discussion on it, unless Sasha, Lisa, Mimi would like to have, be part of it. Please raise your hand now. And I'm now saying that we should motion to vote, not my vote, but I'm asking for someone to first and second a vote now for that meeting being moved to, okay, so Mimi says yes to the motion, that's the first one. And we have Sarah Schwabek as second for vote. Now we're gonna vote again to move our council meeting from January to February. And we need a reaction so Amy can get that vote and capture that.
okay, go ahead and vote.
Okay,
Got it.
all right. So we have 2 more things to need to vote second and all that stuff. One is the vice chair conversation or open position conversation of when we would like to add more members to this council. And another is a surprise to me and maybe another on this call who may or may not be here, that our terms end by December or January of this year. Amy or someone here, can you guys please explain to the council what is happening in a way of what I heard at least of last month and what we may or may not need to maneuver on, and then we will talk about positions and stuff like that afterwards of what my position is and another position that you mentioned.
Sure. So Kim, unless you want to speak to it. Okay. So I put on the meeting minutes per John's request, which I think was a great idea, when terms end. So when you guys were elected into your positions, we had to do like random assignments of how long your terms would be to sit on the council. And it's either 1, 2, or 3 years. And then you can have up to 2 terms. So I think that Gabby, you are ending on 12/1, so in about a month and a half. And this is your 2nd term. So you would have to wait. We'll have to look at how long before you can reapply, but there's a waiting period. And then John and Jacob both end on the 1st of 2023. This is both of their first terms, so we can re-elect them into their positions, but it would have to be by a vote. And then everybody else, let's see, I think Colleen, Sarah S., excuse me, Mimi, you are also on 1/1. So, and then a few people are actually, that's May of next year. So, oh no, Mimi, you're good. Sorry. That's 1/1 of 2025. So you're good for a good long time. Don't you go anywhere. But we need to talk about John and Jacob.
Does anyone object putting John and Jacob in the same vote? In a way of us voting as a council for John and Jacob to extend this council.
I'm getting some really big lightning. Sorry.
No, you're good. I don't.
Did we do it do we need Kim, and I'm gonna need your guidance
do it separately if you want to. We could do it separately.
On the terms, or is that just?
Well, the terms, what I'm trying to communicate is if we do a batch vote, you are correct on the bylaws of the terms. So I apologize. I was trying to make it quick and easy for everybody. Okay, so let's do it separately. So what will need to happen, Amy, for Jacob to be reelected, or at least a discussion?
Let's vote for reelect, and then I'm going to consult actually after and see if we can just do like a max term. I think the reasoning behind having the terms is that so everybody doesn't expire all at once, and then we don't have a council, because that's not good, obviously. So I think we can probably request that they just be the longer terms, but I have to consult. I don't really know. So maybe if we could just do a vote for each of you separately, and then assuming it's going to be the longest one.
Did we talk to Jacob yet about this yet? Have you awarded?
I have not talked to him since we sent out anything, so I don't know that he's aware that his term is ending. But of course, if he needs to resign at any time, he can.
He could, yeah, he could if he wanted to.
Yes.
And we are needing that position at hand. So for Jacob, how do I process the vote in the way of the procedures that are needed to be taken? Do I need to do the first, second discussion vote, or do I just say, are we ready for a floor vote? Kim? Sorry.
You can just call for a vote.
I call for a floor vote for Jacob. What's his last name?
Tolbert.
For the council of the Clackamas County Developmental Disabilities in a way that vote. Do I need a second for that, Kim or Amy? No. All right. So I think I'm going to go for a clean floor vote on Jacob to continue his duties and what is needed for this council. Please stand up if you say aye, or not stand up, but put the thumb thing. If you need to just abstain, put like the party ta-da mode on. And if you need to say no, open mouth. For Jacob on this vote, Sasha, and Colleen, we kind of need him to vote now, and he can decline it at any time he needs to at that time. I hope that answers your question. If you want to abstain, I said the ta-da mode, that's fine, or the open mouth for no. Thumbs up if yes. I'm not trying to overdo you, Sasha, but we kind of need the votes now. Unfortunately, he's not here to say yes or no or
John, you have to
accept.
vote too.
I am. Sorry about that. Okay.
Okay, so it looks like Jacob is voted to continue. So
As a
I
council
will,
member,
I will
Jacob-
follow up. Yes, I will follow up with how long the term is on the next set of meeting minutes.
And please tell the council with your review notes or whatnot, if he accepts or needs to step down so we can continue on with this conversation. The next one will be myself, John Merrick. I would need to abstain from this vote. I would take it. I mean, I am on the advocate side, so I don't know the bylaws and the ways of Clackamas County wise.
I don't. Okay, how about everybody
Does
go ahead and
anyone
vote?
on the council have any objection to me voting for myself as an advocate? If anyone does, please speak now.
I think in the bylaws, it does say that if you would abstain from vote, I think it does say that.
Thank you, Kim. That's all I asked. All right, so that means because I'm chair, yeah, I still can call the vote, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you. So I call a vote for John Merrick for the Clackamas County Commission Council. Do I have, please put yes or no on there. I cannot vote. Again, ta-da means you're abstaining. The open mouth means no, and thumbs up means yes. All right. Thank you, Gabby. Thank you all. It looks like that the yeas have it.
John, you are re-elected in.
We need a gavel like Leva. All right, anyhow, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll do the best I can to represent the advocates at hand. All right, where are we on here? We are here. All right, now we have an even more serious conversation. Positions. I don't know how to move this since we have not had maneuverability on this. Is there a position or an idea that you guys have when you guys would like to call to action for more council members, or a specific position that you would like maybe that Clackamas County can search and find for members of this council? For me as an advocate, a tax advisor and a lawyer of disabilities would be pretty helpful during tax season and other ideals. So we can, put it to a niche position, or we can either put have a conversation with councils. I'm thinking council because we need more people for this, but how would you guys like to maneuver more positions in a way of how we need to vote for a vice chair and other positions that the council needs? This is a question to all of you guys.
I have a question. Does anybody know if there's an interest in other folks that want to join the council? Or when you were creating the council, was it hard to find folks that wanted to join in the first place? So is adding new members something that's going to be easy, or is it going to be really difficult?
It's going to be moderately difficult. I think that now that we have a good group of council members established, I feel like you guys might know people in your circles, and then they can reach out. I think we're still missing the vice chair position, but we would just need to talk about how you guys would need to vote if you want to open it back up and get more people in.
Is there an area?
But yes, it takes some time, and it is a little bit hard to recruit if it's just on the Clackamas County side recruiting. Because we'll put out, we have the service coordinators reach out. We do some, I can't remember where we do some outreach, but it is hard to get, feedback or hard to get people to respond.
So is there an area that is more underrepresented? Like, do you have, I know when you initially reached out that you wanted so many providers, so many parents, so many individuals, like you had an idea of a ratio that you wanted. Is there some area that we're lacking that we could use folks?
Right now, the only people, because we have we have 3 providers and we can have a max of 3 providers. So there can only be, and that is so that the weight is distributed evenly. So we can have 1 advocate, we can have 3 providers, and then the rest are individuals and family members. So individuals and services or family members of individuals and services. And that's so that we're really hearing the community and not just the provider side. Obviously both are important, but if we're down to just the 7, then we have better representation. And that's something I think we can vote in the bylaws later if we wanted to change that ratio. I think that's an option at a future point if we decide to go there. The other consideration is our demographic makeup, which we haven't talked about so much, but we did do the demographic poll. And so, I mean, I can share some of that information with you guys if you want. And we also did talk about not having kind of younger adults in the council, right? So I think we wanted, you guys wanted to have more representation there as well. Brooke, do you want to chime in, or Kim, do you want to chime in on anything that I've missed?
I was going to email you something that I just put together this morning that shows the demographic information of the current council. And it kind of shows some gaps there for sure. Okay, can I either send that to you or have you make me the host?
Yeah, I will make you the co-host.
Okay. And then I'll share my.
So as Brooke is you doing this, my hope is to, yes, vote for the vice chair tonight as a council, but to have the understanding that we have the power or the understanding to vote today, or maybe in January, February, or whatnot, to get that, say, the young non-voters option in here. And or we can vote for a specific position, like I mentioned, a tax, or someone that you would like to have a discussion on. Or in general, when should we open up, these conversations? Brooke, back to you on the demographics of what we need and how we can fulfill at least the general side of the nomination process.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Sorry, I have to find it. I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. Can you see that? Or are you seeing my email?
We see the demographic information.
Oh, okay, because I see my email. I don't know what's going on right now. Okay, so here you can see age-wise, like we talked about, we don't have any young adults, folks from 18 to 29. We have a lot of folks from 30 to 44. We have a couple people who speak who have primary languages that are not English, a couple. And here's the race and ethnicity. We're predominantly Black and white on this council. No tribal members, no veterans, one person who identifies as LGBTQIA. And for geographical location, we're missing, in terms of our county, any representation from places like Canby, Barlow, Estacada, Malala, Malino, Sandy, Tualatin, and Wilsonville. So, and I will also mention the gentleman who was the vice chair. I didn't pull his demographic information out because I wasn't sure all of his answers. So I didn't want to make any assumptions. So right now what you see before you is the council and him.
So a former member of the council information with this data.
Yes, because it was anonymous at the time, I couldn't pull his out.
All right.
Shasta has a question in the chat about the job description. What is the job description of the vice chair from the bylaws? Essentially, the vice chair is going to help run the meetings if the chair is not present. So basically everything the chair is doing in their absence. And then also the chair, the executive members, meaning the chair and the vice chair, meet with us to discuss the agenda several weeks before the actual meeting. So it's an additional meeting every time there's a council meeting, if that makes sense.
Can providers and other restrictive bylaws be part of vice chair, or are they just excluded because they are conflict of interest in other areas of the business?
I think any member of the council can be a vice chair.
I like that noted into the notes in a way of the future of this, or where we're going. Okay.
Looks like you have a nominee for vice chair.
Yes, we do. I hear you and I see that. It looks like we have a nomination on the floor for vice chair for Lisa. Is there someone who would like to second that nomination? Joshua Morris, Kern Morris, seconds that nomination. In the discussion portion of this, I would like Lisa to present why she believes it's possible and how much grateful work that I would like to hear what on the advocate side, what she would like to do as the vice chair real quickly. Not just a 5-second flip would be great. If not, I understand as an advocate, and we can go motion to a vote.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry. I had to go outside because where I am is really loud. Can everyone can hear me okay?
Yes,
Oh, hold on.
thank you.
Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I would like to participate just specifically as a parent. I don't really know what I'm getting myself into, but I feel very confident and comfortable that everybody will guide me gently and lovingly. And I have a lot to learn, but I love you all and I'm volunteering for this position.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Do we have a motion to vote for Lisa for vice chair of the Clackamas Developmental Disability Council?
I'll make the motion to vote.
Right, Chair. Need a second on this? Tasha Kearns Moore seconds that vote. So we're gonna vote. Since we're still needing a vice chair, I'm gonna vote for yes.
So literally everybody that can vote voted yes.
Yes. So my question to you, Amy, now is how long does that last in the bylaws? So Lisa knows how long versus what my position is on the chair.
I would assume as long as your term is, unless the council moves to vote you out of your position. I think you just stay in there.
All right. So you're talking about as long as Lisa's term is for that. All right. There we go.
I think the council can vote you out, but I
Can't
yeah.
vote you out. I understand that in Clackamas County, council rules. I've been around a little bit.
And Lisa says she really does have stuff to bring to the table. She promises.
I'm sure that we're gonna have some conversations. All right, that'll be great. Thank you very much, Lisa, for taking vice chair. It's noted into the record. All right, well, are we on the schedule? I apologize to you out there listening today as public. Again, I would like to put out the importance of if the council has any ideas of niche positions that would like to be filled from Clackamas County in your experiences out in the field, like for myself, a lawyer that deals with developmental disabilities, or a tax attorney in a way those with disabilities that would help those while they have the disabilities. But for time's sake and all, I'll move on to the schedule. But it's another thing like our mission statement that we still need to put on note, Amy, and to the council, we still need to finish up. As we continue on this meeting, that might be for the next meeting and not the legislative meeting that we put on, or we can continually just talk about other positions as we need to fill them ASAP. To Clackamas County, do we absolutely need to fill out the general council numbers right now to put a advertisement in a way that specialties and other positions are being withheld for a later date?
I don't think so. So you're talking about with recruitment for the council?
Yes.
Yeah.
In a general sense, or in a provider sense, or something in the bylaws that we need to make a vote today to expand on?
No, because I think if I understand what you're asking, I believe that we've maxed out our provider capacity. So we
Okay.
have all the providers that we can have on a council, and that ideally we would focus, I mean, anyone, of course, can apply, but
Yes.
that we might focus, but using some of the data we received of saying, but we're, if you are an individual 18 to 24, or the age range that Brooke was mentioning, or whatever, if you live in a rural area, if you're in Canby, Malala, Malino, we really need your voice. We can do stuff like that.
What do you need from the council to make that type of thing happen?
I don't think we need anything from the council unless you have ideas about things to put, because Amy, you do the recruitment, so you know what that looks like. Is there anything that we could benefit from the council on?
I guess I would just want permission to go ahead and open it up. And if there's anything specific in the recruitment that you would want me to put into the.
So as an advocate and the numbers that I've seen, I definitely think small towns and other aspects of Wilsonville, Malino, and other aspects are there. I would also, as a council, consider a position of a provider in a small town rather than just the Tri-County, in a way that we get a perspective of those who have to be in Damascus, for example, and those who have lived in experiences in a small town, knowing that there's transportation issues and other things that we may not be considered by TriMet and other agencies that Clackamas County can have resources in those small towns, not just transportation, but that's just on the hot topic of my mind right now. So I would also suggest that in a way of future thinking of the council and how it's developed in the communications that we have with Clackamas County. So yes, I would definitely go more small town because there are different issues that I have to go through that someone across the river at Lake Oswego has to go through, versus say someone in Wilsonville who might have to go to Clackamas Community College or go to FAME or do other things that takes them 45 minutes or more than 45 minutes, I would say. Yeah, Malala in particular, I believe, or whatnot, not Malala, but anyhow, I just know the certain built-in lived-in experiences from a small town is a lot different to do these opportunities that Clackamas County offers. So as an advocate, I would push for that heavily. In the young adult community, it's important to put young adults as young adults and not 40-year-olds. So I would appreciate that voice also. But also I would be very concerned on the demographics that we have again, and try to spread that young adult voice to a place where the demographics are not being shown so far.
I would also add, if I can, that we have no members that have any tribal affiliations. We don't have any members with a veteran status. And then we have minimal, I would say, representation in non-white race and ethnicities.
So how
as
hard
well
would
as
it be to make
LGBTQIA
how
identities.
hard would that be a request to legislators or those who are in council in the committees already at Clackamas County? what would we need as chair or as a council to make that request happen to other Clackamas County councils or legislators who have to be in those councils? For example, in a Veterans Committee meetings, there are a lot of people in there that may or may not know young adults with traumatic brain injury. So how hard would it be to co-collaborate to those type of councils and committee members that may be able to help us as a committee? Anyone else, please cut in. Put your hands up if you want to.
I can definitely reach out to the person who kind of does all of the kind of, not oversight, but works a lot with a lot of the other councils and see if we can do some like cross recruiting or something, I suppose. But I would also encourage you guys too to reach out to people that you know that fall into any of these categories that you guys are talking about where we're missing representation. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. I think Brooke or Sarah, you guys were.
I see Brooke and Sarah, but before I speak, I need to maybe put a vote for an extension of another 10 minutes of the meeting because the next topic is very important in a way of guests and who we think that should be in this council meeting. Can I please have a motion to vote to extend this meeting for 10 minutes just in case if we go over? No one? Okay. Brooke, you up?
Just really quick, I just wanted to tell you, in terms of how we help to recruit members of the council is Amy generally sends out an email to our service coordinators. That's they're kind of our connection to providers and to individuals and families in service. And sometimes that works super well. And sometimes they're really busy and they're not going through their caseload in their head and thinking, oh, that person would probably really enjoy this or would be really good or has the time, that kind of thing. So strangely, even though we have lots and lots of service coordinators who work with hundreds of people, we can send out, an email and not get response from them. So if anybody has any other ideas of how we might want to engage people in this and get people interested, we're open to other ideas too. Just wanted to say that.
Sarah?
I just wanted to throw in that maybe it's a little intimidating asking individuals if they want to be on a council. Maybe we should approach them as being a guest and they can kind of see, what the council is all about and if it's even something that they would want. Sometimes the word council member, it implies a whole lot of your personal time, a lot of understanding to even be a part of it. And a lot of people, myself included, feel like we're not equipped well enough to even be part of a council. So maybe if we just say, hey, why don't you come be a guest and take a listen, it might be a little less intimidating and we might get more of a response. That was just my thought.
Absolutely understand. Looks like Amy, I think you're right.
I was just going to add to that. This is a public meeting, so anyone can join. So if you have somebody that you go ahead and forward the invite or let me know and I can forward it. This is a public meeting, so anybody can join. You have to be a council member to vote, but any member of the public can join us at any time.
Yeah. I do worry about the demographics and where they are, in a way they're too much in one place. So I think it's important to get that recruitment, but still hit the demographics at hand rather than just one area of advocacy. For example, of that, I would say that as a council member, definitely if they are living in the same household sometimes, because that's like a 2-1 vote sometimes, or someone that on the disability side that may or may not just say yes all the time without review from accommodations of actually knowing what they're voting and how they are voting. And so I would ask the county to help that person with disabilities, move through those votes in a way that's not just them trying to be on a council for the resume or just say yes to something because that's the way that they believe. So I would ask Clackamas County for that accommodation if we find someone with disabilities that may be severely disabled and definitely qualified for this council in a way that they should participate. So that's on my side as an advocate, and I hope those notes are taken. All right, so any other comments on this council finding and what you guys would suggest? Colleen, Gabby, Mimi. All right. I appreciate it because I do not want it to be stackhold on 1 or 2 council people, putting in 5, 8, 10 people. I think it should be a full council mentality. And also Clackamas County. Also, please make me aware as chair, who may or may not be applying for this position, Amy. That would help me a lot on these meetings and knowing where to direct, certain topic points as chair. Definitely in what interests us. Definitely as we go through legislative session and beyond. All right, you guys, I have a serious question to ask as chair. When I go to different meetings or whatnot, there's sometimes guests that come on in different departments and different knowledge stakeholders. For me, it could be as simple as someone bringing in the first teas in Clackamas County, making a call, and maybe visiting us in that way, or what we call audiences and stuff like that, or going to a head of a trade and asking for an audience, from different departments. To me, I would like to know from the council, as we only have now 10 minutes unless we extend time, who are important people that you would like to hear from and who we can invite. Unfortunately, it does not go by the bylaws of me as the chair to make the agenda and then invite people on my own. I need you guys to first, second the nominations of people to talk to. So for today, I would like Clackamas County to gain a better perspective on who to talk to, including those who may or may not be the all-stars of the department, but even simple people like First Tees or the Portland Winterhawks in a way of the community outreach director, or other opportunities that might help the unified movement in ways that, for Special Olympics, that we as a council in Clackamas County can maneuver change from, say, the Portland Parks districts or in parks and recreation districts. Who in your ideas would you like to talk to that would help your situation of those with developmental disabilities, and maybe further the conversations of who we can approve and not approve, and having guests to be having an audience with that Clackamas County and I can help out and make those requests maybe a reality. This also on Clackamas County notes can go with eligibility, abuse investigation in adult residential homes. Also, if it's topics that interest you.
Shasta, I don't know if she can turn her mic on, but she's saying, can we invite Anna Lansky?
Anna Lansky can do it. I would second that, that part, and I would definitely go for a vote. We will now do a flow vote for Anna, at least on that, but I would like us to have a conversation also. But because of this name and my second of that, I would like to put a vote on that. So thumbs up if you would like as the council for Anna Lansky, at least for what you call it, not an appearance, or I can't think of the word I just said, public record, a couple of audience. For an audience for Anna Lansky has been approved by the council. Yes, that is the new head of ODDS in a way of whatnot. She was the interim director of ODDS since 2015, and she worked in Arkansas, I believe, or whoever Clinton
Yeah,
was.
she was the deputy director under Lilia. And then with Lilia's departure, she stepped in, they've asked her to step in as the interim director until they have completed the recruitment and hiring.
So on that, for example, as just being an example, Amy, Kim, does that mean that we can now make an audience request on behalf of the council once we go into executive meetings?
Yeah, if everybody is in
There we
favor
go.
of Anna participating, then yes, we can do that.
All right. So again, I would like you guys to think of some guests in the next 5 to 10 minutes, and then maybe we can expand the conversation later on people that you would like to talk to that we have to meet as a council, because in these meetings that other people get to go, there are tons of guests that go on these councils. But the only problem is they have meetings monthly, and so they can approve guests and other ideas a little bit quicker than we can. So this is why I need you guys to either, let's have a conversation today, or make a decision and do what we did with Anna, for example, in that would there be anyone that today would like to, that is just itching to talk to, that would like an audience request from the Clackamas County DD Council? I think for me, it would be it would be different representatives and other ideals, but we can talk about that later in a way of that. It could be as simple as, like I said, the Portland Parks and Rec District, where I know there's a lot of disability people that may or may not have a department that the DD department may or may not have a relationship with. I know for myself, when I was going to a gig and seeing an old musician friend and seeing people with disabilities, maybe the oddness of that type of situation. So someone to help people to condition and understand people in a way that that's not just a niche group of those with disabilities, like a disability chill camp, but still get them out in the public, and those who are participating with the events that Clackamas County offers can be more comfortable in those situations. And it's not that they're not, but it's different than music director who's the Portland music director of United by Music, experiencing every week with those with disability, versus a gigging musician from the for the North Clackamas Parks District. I think it would be a nice idea to bring in North Clackamas Parks District to see if, from the council's perspective of a niche group versus a public group of offerings that they offer. And this includes community education programs and other departments that would be helpful for myself to understand perspective-wise. It's those who, those names I would need help from Clackamas County to bring as guests so we can vote as a council. I would love to hear your ideas, all of you as a council later on, but that's another idea to push forward, that I know, me being in services later in my life and the education base, you know, that was a little bit different than some lived in experiences, not a lot, but you know, I'm trying not to boost myself, but I do know it's important to understand both sides of the table and the discussion of those type of opportunities, knowing that I myself needs to learn a lot for those with disabilities. So again, I would probably would like at least until next time to learn more about, say, North Clackamas Parks or the things. It looks like Sasha, so that's a good idea. And Clackamas Commissioner Sona Fisher would be another idea, and what our priorities will be for. Does someone want to second that Clackamas Commissioner audience for Sonia Fisher? Question mark for the council.
I'll second it.
All right, second, we're gonna take it for a vote. And Sasha, do you have just a priority for work in general, or do you have a specific idea? Question mark. I heard the second, Sarah, so your vote's still there for priorities of our work, but I want to know as an advocate. As the vote will still come, Sasha, let's make the vote for Sonia Fisher as an audience request. I will vote yay for that, not knowing all the priorities, but I would love to we can talk later with Lisa and others. I appreciate the suggestions of Sonia. I still think someone in Veterans Committees or Affairs would be a great person to talk to. I don't know if that's a senator or a representative or a Clackamas commissioner, but I think that would be good. Thank you, Sasha. What it was put out was, what is her vision? She is a policymaker. We need to know what's up for the agenda in the coming years. Assuming, of course, she gets reelected. Understand, we can still maybe make a request to the staff workers and the policy directors and stuff. So that's another idea for Brooke, Lisa, and Kim to maybe discuss, since we've made a vote for that sector of policy making. That makes a good point of Sasha, unless please put your hands up if you have other people that you would agree with. I think I hear you, Lisa, I'm getting to that, but I want to tell Clackamas County on record in the next 2 minutes how important it is to understand POP, how important it is to understand other languages that are in the legislative process of making the priorities and putting the letters onto the bill numbers. I'm right now having a brain freeze, which I usually do not on this one, but legislative concepts and other meetings that you guys are in RAC committees. That is so important to know who we need to invite to these meetings. So as they coming forward, we can understand what the direction that Clackamas County is going towards. So, all right, so we have two other ones. I'm gonna have to cut the meeting in about a minute. So let's go with Lisa's thing for now. Lisa, you had one, and Darcia Galvia is on Veterans Committee. Maybe we can match with her. I personally would love to have a vet on this with TBI to whatever the experience may be with this type of thing. Would anyone? I would second that nomination. Dr. Graber. Would someone would like to vote on that? For now, I'm gonna put a floor vote for Darcia Gaber as an audience request for the Clackamas County Developmental Council. I vote yay. Everyone else needs to vote on Darcia Gaber for the Veterans Committee. If not, if you want it staying again, you can put the ta-da. If you want to not vote for it because we don't have the yes or no, you can put an open mouth on there. Amy, are you counting votes right now? I have my thumbs up.
Mhm.
You need everyone to re-put the thumbs or ta-da or whatnot. You have to vote for Darcia Gaber.
Yes, it looks like it's a yes.
All right, so it looks like we're gonna adapt to sports. Ryan Kennedy, I'm aware of it from Sasha, would love to hear more about local opportunities for adaptive sports. I think that is a fantastic idea. The people that I mentioned with personal contacts, and I don't believe they may or may not have, but I believe you guys have more knowledge in this to invite people like this. Ryan Kennedy, I would definitely second that one for myself as a member of it. So again, for Ryan Kennedy as an audience request, we got 4 people now. This helps the executive committee a lot, and we'll hopefully give you ideas later. I'm going to put this one out there, and I need to close the vote for, and as I'm a minute late, and I need to close out the meeting. So anyhow, Ryan Kennedy, people will need to vote for that, for Amy to get the vote on for adaptive sports. I think that's a great way to also expand beyond just Special Olympics. Also, we can invite Special Olympics as council later if other people would like that. Awesome. Thank you very much. Again, guests are important outside of just our own legislative priorities. It is to help the community and us to get to know them and them to get to know us. I appreciate you guys' time in this conversation about guests and whatnot. We have open floor, and I was wondering if any of you guys had any good of the movement or whatnot moments. And if you guys would want a motion to close this meeting, I understand.
I have a question really fast.
Absolutely. So what's up? And we still need you members on the call till we close out officially.
I was just wondering if it was possible, and I don't know if it would be even appropriate, and Amy, this might even be directed towards you, but we have the names of us as the council members and our term limit, but also it might be kind of nice to put kind of what where we're coming from, like who are we representing as ourselves, like
your category and the like provider or family member,
provider, yeah, family member, individual, like just so that when we're hearing from everybody, we kind of know where they're coming from, and it might just kind of help.
Absolutely. I think, John, you asked for that earlier also, so I can definitely add that to the agenda.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I need you guys still on until we close the order. I appreciate the compliment, but yes, I would second that or push that, depending on how that goes, in a way that it is important to know. We don't need to tell what town they are or whatnot, but at least what the the main capacity of those with disabilities are, because I remember saying, reading it, I might have been qualified for 2 different positions on this. And it's very important when we come into meetings to be prepared on that and know who we are talking to. So what would you need, Amy? Could you do that just on the administration side, or do you need a council vote on that?
I can just add it on there. I think that's a reasonable request.
Absolutely, as long as upstairs understands we're doing the best we can. So I appreciate it. All right. I hope you guys had some good moments in your life with those with disabilities. Gabby, Colleen, Sarah, Sarah Zwanek, Mimi, Sasha, and Lisa. Hopefully I said your name right. Yeah, I appreciate what you guys do for the community. I guess I should ask, is there any public comments that anyone would need to ask? No one in the public that needs to comment today. I would motion that we close this meeting 4 minutes late. And I appreciate you guys' time and effort. Please contact Lisa and I, or I and Lisa and Amy in ways that if you guys have any perspectives of today's conversation. We need a second on the motion to close for today's meeting.
I second.
All right. And do we need a vote for it? We can just leave. I don't remember this one. We look good. All right, let's go. All right, have a good one, guys. Enjoy your evening. I hope we had a productive meeting today.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks so much.